The green job market is strongly purpose-driven. So if you want to do this, if you want to change the world, if you want to get something done concerning climate change, or if it doesn't have to be always the big question of climate change or climate crisis, it can also be the small stuff. So educate children about environmental issues. This is always something that you want to change. So go with it, what you are passionate about it.
Hello and welcome to Inside Deutschland, your guide to careers in Germany, Season 2. This podcast provides you with insight into working in Germany and tips on how to navigate opportunities and challenges across the German labor market. I'm your host, Jessica Schuler, a Germany-focused career coach, trainer, and international educator. As part of the Inside Deutschland podcast, I interview people from all over the globe who've been successful in Germany and who have interesting insights and expertise on what working in Germany is actually like, so you can learn from their experience. In 2015, 195 countries agreed in the Paris Agreement to make every effort to limit the global temperature increase to 1.5 degrees above pre-industrial levels and to transform the global economy in a climate-friendly way. Not an easy task. Germany, like countries in the rest of the world, has a lot to do to meet these climate goals. The country needs a major expansion of renewable energy, a dramatic increase in the number of electric cars, and the construction of hundreds of thousands of new climate-friendly homes every year. The Institute for Employment Research, or the IAB in Nuremberg, predicts that the transition to a green economy will create many new job opportunities. Many of these new jobs are so-called green jobs, and that's what I'll be talking about today with our two guests. Green jobs can be found in all sectors of the economy. They range from areas such as manufacturing, transportation, and buildings to newly emerging fields in the energy sector. Later in this episode, you will hear from Alejandra Leal Vallejo, who studied in Germany and later returned to Mexico to work in the area of sustainability as a safe mobility advocate. But first, I will talk to Jan Stolschein. He's the managing director of Green Jobs DE. Jan has many years of professional experience in the fields of renewable energy, environmental policy, and climate protection. With him, I'm going to be speaking about the market for green jobs, including what a green job is and which jobs are currently in demand. Jan, welcome to Inside Deutschland. I'm so happy to have you with us today.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. I'm very happy to be here.
Could you maybe start by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, we run a job board for environmental related jobs, for green jobs, basically. I started this with an old school friend of mine like 24 years ago now. And since 2011, it's a commercial available project so that we make money with it. And we have a small team of 5 people. And running the job board is what we do on a daily basis.
And you yourself have had a diverse career journey from landscape planning to climate research and now managing director at Green Jobs DE. Can you share a little bit about what inspired you to get involved in the field and then transition to managing the Green Jobs platform?
Environmental issues were always an interest of me. It started when I was like 12 or 13 years old. I wrote a letter to Greenpeace, send me information, I'm interested in your work. So that's how it started. And then when it came to the end of school, I didn't really had an idea what I wanted to do afterwards, like what kind of studies I would take. And I stumbled upon the landscape planning studies. And that was quite appealing to me because it's very diverse. Natural sciences, a little bit of engineering, a little bit. Social sciences, you can get creative. So that was the start professionally with the green issues. And then basically I take it from there step by step. I didn't really had a plan for my career, where I would be in like 5 years or 10 years or so. That was basically step by step, and I looked what I wanted to do next, where I wanted to work, with what kind of employer I wanted to work. Like I said, we started Green Jobs basically right after I finished my studies. And so it was always a side project that grew and grew bigger and bigger. And so it was naturally that someday we had to decide, okay, we have to think about something, how we can run this job board. not anymore in our free time, but employ someone or do it ourselves and pay ourselves. And that's what we did, basically.
Could you also give us a quick overview on what Green Jobs DE offers and how it works?
Yeah, it's a job board. So that means we post job advertisements that we get from the employers. So if you're an employer or a company, an NGO, whatever, in the green field, and you're looking for staff, you're looking for employees, you can come to us and upload your job advertisement. And we publish it on greenjobs.de. We get paid for the publication, so there's no fee if you get so and so many applications or whatever. It's just a publication like 20, 40 years ago in the newspaper. So that's our business model. It's very easy, very simple, not very smart, but everybody knows it. And so it's quite successful. You don't have to explain what we do. It's not very complicated. So we have these job advertisements that are online on our job board. And if you are looking for a job, you basically use Google or you know our website and find the job advertisements and look for it, what's of interest for you. And if you find something, then you apply directly with the employer. So we don't handle any applications or something like that. Yeah, that's it, basically.
And how do you define a green job?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because it's a question we ask ourselves every day and have discussions with our customers every day. Basically, we had to find kind of a criteria that work for us in a simple way. Basically, we have two criteria. Either the job itself is a green job, so that means the qualification that you need is an environmental related qualification, like you have to have a background in biology or landscape planning or forestry, whatever, or engineering for solar panels, something like that. And or the company, the employer itself is in a green field, so has its business or its daily, what they do on a daily basis is environmentally related. So like provider of clean energy, of green energy, renewable energy, that's a green company for us. And so every job that they offer is a green job for us. So even if it's accounting or marketing, then we post these jobs.
You know, one of the things that's really nice about working at a job board is that you have access to a lot of data about which jobs are being posted and which ones maybe are no longer out there for people to apply to. So I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about which sectors within the green job market you've seen growth in and where you've maybe seen shrinking over the last couple of years.
Yeah, basically what is growing is especially my field of expertise. So this landscape planning and related stuff like geography, all the jobs that are related to working with, if you're doing something out there in the field, like you need space for it, you have a project, you need space for it. Like renewable energies, like you have to put the wind turbines, they have to be put up somewhere, so you need space. Solar panels, you need space for them. You have infrastructure, and there are a lot of projects out there that need this space. And so you need people that can deal with the space because you always have different usages of the space. So when you are outside of the city, rural areas, so you have tourism maybe, you have protected wildlife areas, you have agriculture. So you have to put these together so that they can live together. And so these are jobs that are definitely growing because there are a lot of projects out there. Maybe I'm a little bit biased because it's my kind of expertise and I'm looking especially for these jobs. And what is declining, what is shrinking? Yeah, difficult to say because there's not one specific sector, I would say, that is shrinking. It depends. We had over a couple of years, it was growing and growing. And like 2 years ago, it started to shrinking over most sectors, especially the renewable energy sector in Germany. Multiple reasons for this. The economic situation right now is not the best, the brightest. That may be changing next year or the year after next year. There are mixed messages from the government concerning renewables when you're thinking about the phase out of internal combustion engines in cars or phase out of coal. Well, that's set now, but there was discussion, will we do it like 2030 or 2038 or even longer? So this impacts the companies that are working in this field, or electric vehicles or heat pumps. There was the most recent discussion concerning the energy transition in Germany. And if you don't have a stable market for what you're doing as a company, then you are not expanding, then you're not hiring new people, because you're looking, okay, what's it going to be like in 1 year or in 2 years? We wait and don't hire new staff and see what we can do with our existing workforce.
So maybe it's in a stage of stabilization at this point.
Yeah, stabilization maybe. And because basically we have the Paris Agreement, we have the climate goals. So it's definitely set that we have to go in this direction, in the environmental friendly business models, climate friendly business models, renewable energies that will grow, and it is growing, and it will further grow. There's no doubt about that. So maybe a phase of stabilization, and we will see a growing phase later on, definitely.
So a follow-up question to that is, when you're looking at the areas that are growing or shrinking, what role do German language skills play in these job advertisements that you're looking at most days?
Yeah, it depends on the employer. So I think in Germany, this is very diverse. If you're working in a big company with thousands of employees, it shouldn't be a problem if you don't speak German. If you speak English, this should be sufficient. Or if you're working in the research area, like universities, research institutes, the working language is English. But if you're looking for jobs in smaller companies, in NGOs maybe, or in the government sector, it is very common that you have to have German language skills. Well, another field where isn't so much of a problem if you're an English-speaking person is the startup bubble, I would say. It is quite common too that there are different people of different backgrounds from all over the world working together. In Berlin or in Cologne, there are lots of startups. But the German language skills are always a plus. That's easy to say.
Beyond language skills, what are some of the most sought after skills and qualifications for green jobs today?
If we look at our database, it's definitely engineering skills or engineering knowledge and natural sciences, like biology, or that you really know your stuff. So this is the focus of our jobs. There are many others also on our website, but the focus is on the engineering and natural sciences.
So where can people then inform themselves about the appropriate kind of quote unquote green qualifications for jobs in Germany?
Yeah, appropriate depends on the job. There's no general answer to this. Strong background in engineering, software development, natural sciences is helpful, definitely. But also skills like service technician for wind turbines or installation of heating appliances is a plus, or is helpful if you're looking in that area. And Germany is a highly regulated country, so knowledge of regulations is often required.
On social media, there's oftentimes a lot of comments from people who are very interested in working in green jobs in Germany, and they may not have the required language skills yet, or they may not have other required language skills. If I'm an international looking into green jobs in Germany and I have a background in one of these kind of subsectors of the industry, what should be the way that I go about my job search for these roles in the country?
Yeah, problem with job advertisements is often that they are, at least in our experience, they are often in German. So if you're not familiar with the German language, it can be quite hard to find these job offers because, they are only available in German. But this shouldn't be a really big problem because you can, if you know what field you're looking for, you can use Google Translate or whatever to define the keywords that you're looking for, and then you know what you have to look for in German. So you can Google for the German keywords, or if you're on a website like ours or other job boards, you can use these German keywords to find the job advertisements. Yeah, and then the next step is to filter these job advertisements that are in a language that you don't know. But you have the set of offers that are available, and that should be quite fitting for what you're looking for. And concerning language, I think it's the best if you know that you are wanting to stay in another country, you have to pick up the language as fast as possible. Either you do it when you're in your home country and start with courses, language courses or whatever, or if you then, when you move to the place where you want to work or be or live, pick the language up as quick as possible and dive right in.
So you mentioned, a couple of different trends now, those that are coming out of our political system and how things are being maybe supported or not supported, and that there's different trends that you're seeing based off of this in the job postings. If someone has, more experience already working in a green job in Germany, and let's say they also do speak German, what would be some career tips that you would give them if they're looking to kind of grow their career in this industry?
I would always go with your gut feeling. Look what you want to do, what you're passionate about, and not so much where are the best career possibilities, where can I make the most money, whatever. The green job market is strongly purpose-driven. So if you want to do this, if you want to change the world, if you want to get something done concerning climate change, or if it doesn't have to be always the big question of climate change or climate crisis, it can also be the small stuff. So educate children about environmental issues. So this is always something that you want to change. And so go with it, what you are passionate about. That's also my personal experience too. Like I mentioned earlier, I always took the next job when I was interested in, and I thought, okay, that's interesting. That's what I want to do as a next step. So it was no big plan or whatever, because someone saying planning is guessing. So that's basically it.
Okay, yes. So I was also wondering if you could tell us, first of all, if you could define greenwashing for the audience, and then tell us how we can look out for greenwashing in job ads.
Yeah, greenwashing, in my understanding, is if you are a company with a product or a service and you paint it green, because green is always good. Many people look for environmental friendly products, for environmental conscious companies, employers. So companies are tending to greenwash themselves or their jobs to give a good picture of themselves. Yeah, and how do you spot this? It can be quite difficult because it's a very blurry line. What is greenwashing and what is not greenwashing? What is still okay? Because, there are definitely employers out there where also we would say, that's not the best place to work. But then also, where do you draw the line? Which employers do you blacklist and which one you don't? So this is very difficult to do. Because of that, basically, we just let it the job seeker decide. Because everyone is different, and some are fine with working, for example, RWE, big energy supplier in Germany, did a lot of brown coal digging, lignite digging, and fossil fuels and stuff. But now they are transforming themselves in the renewable direction. And some people say, okay, I would never work for them because of their history. And some say, okay, they are making the real big change. And so it's very interesting to work for them because they have so much impact if they turn around. So it's basically up to the job seeker what they want to do.
But it's still really helpful to have such a curated jobs board for people who are interested in working in, green related jobs, right? Jan, thank you so much for being here with us today and for sharing all this helpful information about green jobs in Germany with our audience.
Yeah, thank you, Jessica. Thanks for having me.
Hearing about the job search and related job opportunities in Germany's green job market from Jan highlighted how dynamic the landscape, especially for environmentally focused careers, is right now. But what does a green career look like beyond Germany's borders? Up next, we will hear from an alumna who studied environmental policy issues in Germany and learned from the German approach to develop strategies for improving the situation in her home country. Alejandra Leal Vallejo's journey in the environmental field has taken her from studying in Germany back to her home country of Mexico, where she's now working on transforming sustainable mobility for her country. She's made significant strides in advancing road safety, including her role in a landmark constitutional amendment that recognizes the human right to safe and sustainable mobility. Her story is showing that green jobs aren't confined by geography and how you can use the education and skills gained in one country to contribute to progress in another. Alejandra, welcome to the show.
Hello, Jessica. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. In this episode, we're talking about green jobs and sustainability in the workplace. And I wanted to talk to you for a variety of reasons, but in particular, because you worked on a master's in Germany that led you back to Mexico doing sustainability work. And I love this idea of thinking about, okay, what does it mean to have a career in or with Germany or that was based off of a German education? And so I really wanted to talk to you today about your experiences with your education in Germany and going back to Mexico, but also, of course, working in sustainability and the role that you're playing now in sustainable mobility in Mexico. So maybe you could just start by telling us a little bit about yourself and what you're currently doing today.
I'm Alejandra Leal. I am based in Mexico City. Currently, I am co-director of Centrico, is an organization that specializes on policy, on sustainable mobility and road safety. I have a bachelor's in economics and I studied my master's studies at the Heritage School of Governance. And I think it was a huge influence on the importance on sustainability to live in Germany and to understand how policies are made there. I also did an exchange program at the Regensburg University during my bachelor studies. So I think from very early in my life, I learned about the importance of having policies that care about climate change or climate crisis in general. I started using my bike during my exchange program on a daily basis. So for me, it was like an experience that I was able to have that led me to think differently, that things should be different, that can be differently. And then like coming back to Mexico City, also had the opportunity to start working on this agenda. I thought I was going to start working from the government side, but then I learned that civil society in Mexico also had great opportunities and also were like very specialized on policies. So I started working there at an international organization called ITDP. And then I started my own organization called Centrico.
Excellent. So did your exchange semester in Regensburg inspire you to do your master's in Germany, or how did that come to be?
Yeah, actually, when I was studying in Regensburg, I visited Berlin and I fell in love with the city. I just decided that I wanted to go back and do my master's studies there. So I first picked the city and later the program. And when I found out about the Heritage School, I was really happy because it really included this global perspective that I was looking for. And also the word even like governance. I'm really into collaboration from the very beginning. So I really think that things can happen only if the different sectors in society are taking part of it. So having this influence from the very beginning, I think it was very helpful. And I felt very identified with the values that the school has.
And when you were then, considering, do you stay in Germany after your master's degree or do you go back home? What types of, things were you thinking about?
When I was there, I had the chance to do a lot of my works from different classes on sustainable mobility and public spaces. Actually, I did my master thesis on the Tempelhof field because there they had different participation processes and I was learning about how to do with this huge space that was in the very center of the city. And it was interesting for me to learn these processes. Also, I studied a lot of cases from Latin America, from Colombia and Mexico mainly, that were like countries which cities had more progress on their transport systems. And then I found out about this organization in Mexico together with others that were doing studies on this. When I was done with my master's studies, I had opportunities to look for job opportunities in Berlin. Nevertheless, since I was always in touch with people from Mexico, I think I thought that there were more opportunities to have a bigger incidence on my country because of the language, because of the network that I already had from my university studies. So I thought it was going to be, it's going to be a faster way to be part of policy decisions making processes. Whereas in Germany, for me, it was going to be more difficult. When I was in Mexico, before my master's studies, I was already part of a government, one of the districts that are in Mexico City doing public spaces work. And then I already had higher position on between the government, doing like, I would say, like relevant work. And then going into a different country, it sometimes means that you have to start all over again. So for me, it was that difficult decision. But then I also I learned that there are other ways transportation systems can be developed. And I wanted to help implement those types of policies back in my country.
And now you've founded your own company, correct?
Yeah. When I finished my studies, I came back to Mexico City and I started working at this international NGO. I think it was a great platform. Like, for example, it is also like a difficult decision going from the government to civil society because wages are not the same. But still, I decided to make this investment in terms of having the right network to do this specific agenda. Because I would say like not a lot of people are getting specialized on this. And being part of an international organization give you access to an international network, a local network, and also time to do research, to learn what's happening in different cities of the country, and to make proposals of policy or white papers or report, and to connect also with authorities on the different levels of the government. And then later on, I wanted to have an organization of my own because I learned that there were like a market there that was not being addressed. A lot of governments wanted to have work developed by consultants, by specialized people. And as an NGO, there is a limit of the things that you can do. So I decided to have this organization. I have a partner on this organization. And then we created Centrico. And I think having this organization also locally based allow us to have more flexibility on the agenda that we address.
And, you've had, as you're talking through this, it's really clear you've had a lot of significant successes and really you've had a lot of significant impact already through the work that you're doing in Mexico. What would you say has been the one main thing that you think you've accomplished so far through Centrico?
I would say the approval of the right to mobility in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. I think that was the turning point regarding the agenda. And it was also a recognition of the work that a lot of people had done before. By the time that we pushed for the approval of this right at the national level, it had already been recognized in 11 states of the country out of 32. So the innovation on legal matters had happened already on the local level. I think it is obvious because they are closer to the daily basis of people leaving the city and commuting and using these services. And having this at the national level, it was only a recognition of what was happening at the local level. Also, for a constitutional change to pass, it needs to be approved in both of the chambers, senators and deputies, and also in at least half of the states of the country. So working with local organizations for them to address their legislative representatives was also challenging and also very inspiring because it was also recognizing the work that local organizations have been doing for years. So it was only asking the right questions to their representatives. We want this right. Go ahead and approve it. So I think that was like a process that for me it was I'm very proud of having this opportunity to coordinate a lot of the work that was done from the civil society part in collaboration with the authorities, senators, the deputies, and also with the private sector.
The fact that you helped support, initiate, and see through a constitutional change in your country is beyond impressive. Right. And I think it really relates back to what you said, that you noticed, okay, you can be so much more impactful back home than maybe you could have been in some green job in Germany, right? What advice would you give to students or young professionals from Mexico who, let's say, are considering studying in Germany or considering working in Germany, especially in the fields, related to what you're doing, public policy and sustainability? You chose to go back to Mexico in order to have an impact, but what advice would you give to them?
I think deciding staying or going back to our country, it's all right. I mean, both of the things are going to go well. But I think it is important to select a topic or an agenda where you are interested on or even and later on passionate about. Because passion, I mean, sometimes it's not right away. Sometimes you learn about this topic, you are interested, but then once that you get more involved, it's when I think passion comes out. And I think if you choose the right topic, or if you go in depth with the topic that you are finding more attractive, I do believe it is important to have people specialized on agendas. And I think to work these agendas, you really need to study, you need to get close to what's happening globally, to travel even, because this is about cities and learning from firsthand that things can be different. I think it's huge. It gives you a lot of understanding on how these things can work in your own city or country.
Absolutely. Those are all great pieces of advice. I'm particularly glad to hear you talk about how important it is to niche down, because I tell people that all the time. When you specialize, you really increase your job security, but you also increase the impact that you can have. And I think you're the perfect example of what that looks like in practice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Alejandra, you also won an award. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I won the Alumni Award. And I got this prize in Berlin, and I was able to share about this right to mobility and this law and the work of civil society to my professors and colleagues from the Harvard School of Governance. And it was also great because then they knew about what was happening in Mexico, but also how the tools and the knowledge that I got from them really helped to achieve what I did together with this Safe Mobility Coalition in Mexico.
So with the award, it really came full circle then.
Yeah, exactly. It was the opportunity to share and to have this great recognition, and also use these international awards to go back to Mexico and show, this is not only being nationally recognized, but also internationally. So we're going in the right direction. Just keep going on this agenda, and let's have our mobility and road safety agenda improved.
Great. Alejandra, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing about your educational background and your career. You're doing great things in Mexico, and I'm very excited to see what you're going to be moving and shaking moving forward.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm happy to share some of the things happening here in Mexico.
It really seems like there's a lot of change happening right now regarding green jobs, not only on the job market, as Jan discussed, but also in education, like the story from Alejandra shows. Here are my top 3 tips from this episode. First, get to know the green job market. In Germany, it includes sectors like renewable energy, sustainable manufacturing, environmental consulting, urban planning, and also waste management, just to name a few. People with a technical or engineering background and a connection to the manufacturing and construction industries are particularly in demand in the green economy here. Qualifications in these areas can also help with getting a visa for your new job. Second, watch out for greenwashing. To ensure you're aligning with an employer that genuinely prioritizes sustainability, you can think about making a list of what matters most to you about environmental and ethical practices. Research the company's specific sustainability goals, current initiatives, and upcoming projects. This will help you assess whether their actions align with their claims. And third, although green jobs are in high demand, German language skills remain essential in many regions. Don't rely solely on your professional qualifications. Proficiency in German can significantly improve your job prospects. And finally, on a related note, I think Alejandra's story can be an inspiration for international alumni of German higher education institutions, regardless of the field of study. Her story is a lesson in how gaining an education in Germany can enable us alumni to make innovative changes in our home countries. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. For more information and related links, please check out the show notes. If you enjoyed the episode, we'd love for you to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform and follow the show. If you have any feedback, questions, or suggestions for future episode topics, please leave a comment or write to us via our online feedback form, which is also located in the show notes. Thanks for listening. So last but not least, I wanted to ask you what your favorite German saying or Redewendung is related to green jobs.
Yeah, maybe it's not really a Redewendung or German saying, but I like it anyways. That's be part of the transformation or you will be transformed. Sei Teil der Veränderung oder du wirst verändern. I think that's something you can think a little bit about, but I think it's good.
Absolutely. Inside Deutschland, Your Guide to Careers in Germany is a podcast brought to you by the Alumni Portal Deutschland. I am your host, Jessica Schuler. Sound design, music, and production, Steffen Stark and Arne Bergner for Der Apparat Multimedia GmbH. Editing and production, Jessica Schuler, Amelie Baerbott, Charlotte Dettich, and Leone Klüssendorf for Der Apparat Multimedia GmbH.